There are some small to mid-sized businesses that are worth less than zero. I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm not exaggerating. They are literally worth less than zero. That's a fact. I promise you it's a fact. Because think about it like this. Would you pay anything to acquire a business that's going to lose you money each year? Of course not. Why would you pay for something that's going to lose you money and cost you time? There's also the fact of temptation. For the seller, you are so close to giving them the cash and the exit that they're looking for. Maybe the seller's selling because they're near retirement age. Maybe they're selling because they have a death in the family, or because they have a health issue, or because their kids are having problems, or whatever the reasons why, right? Obviously, usually a seller is going to be motivated to sell for some set of reasons or one profound reason. And so when you're really close, they've already imagined, they being the seller, they've already visualized and imagined life after the close. It's very natural to do. Of course, you as the buyer do the same thing. You visualize what it's going to be like to quit your job and own this business, or what it's going to be like to expand your portfolio, and how much more cash flow it's going to bring you, and how it's going to give you more lifestyle freedom. We all do it. We imagine where we're going and the thing that we want, what it's going to be like once we get it. Sellers do this as well. So when you get really close through this diligence process, and then you draw the line in the sand and say, I cannot proceed as we've agreed upon because of these newfound findings that are problematic, you'll be surprised at just how much leverage you have. I've seen the entire capital stack flip upside down, going from a transaction that has the better part of 80 or 90% cash at closing, going to one that has 80 or 90% seller finance. I've seen that firsthand in one of my deals, where it went from having about 80% cash at close to over 80% seller finance. Same purchase price, but literally flipped almost entirely. I've seen it firsthand. I have a client I'm working with right now. Good gen, he's working really hard, has a deal that he's been working on. Similar scenario, and he's finding some problems with the financials. And I've told this guy, hey, as much as I want to see you close, I want to see you close on a good deal. Don't do a deal with the devil just because you're excited to buy your first business. And so I gave him some instructions about how to go in there and basically say, this is what I need or else. And he was a little nervous, but I told him what to say and how to say it and all of that stuff. And we were going back and forth via text here the other night, and he was blown away that after he stated his demands, because of these very clear findings that he found in diligence, that's the whole key. You can't just go in there and try to blow up the deal for no reason. You have to have reasons why. This is paramount. I can't emphasize it enough. You have to have profound reasons why that you found during diligence. Good due diligence can save you a fortune. But when you have good due diligence and you're able to list out the reasons why you need to renegotiate, at that moment in time, you basically have the seller exactly in the most vulnerable place that they're going to be in. They being the seller, right? The seller is vulnerable because you have found clear reasons why the deal's overpriced. And so sure enough, now they're negotiating the details of a transaction that's vastly different than what had initially been negotiated. He found big problems in diligence. He did a great job during his due diligence process. And I wouldn't be surprised if he closes a completely different transaction that favors him being the buyer. It's going to favor him as the buyer massively. And this is the power of doing your due diligence, bringing those findings to the seller, laying it out there. And at that moment in time, the seller realizes, I have these problems regardless. So do you know what? Here's this buyer right now that still wants to do a deal with me, even though I have these problems. He already knows about the skeletons in my closet. He's already he's still gonna pay me something either now or later. And if nothing else, hey, he's gonna take the business. Screw it, let's do it. They take that Richard Branson mentality of the screw it, let's do it. Deals happen like that. You'd be amazed, have the courage and have the clarity and conviction to say what you know is right, to do what's right, and to protect yourself and your family. Don't sign on deals that don't make sense. It's craziness, yet a lot of people do it. And that's how bankruptcies and financial fortunes happen, or financial fortunes get lost, rather. That's how financial fortunes get lost. That's how bankruptcies happen. That's how dreams are destroyed, by doing deals that are obviously not a good fit for you as the buyer. I mean, by definition, deal making is doing a deal that favors you as the buyer. That doesn't mean you're trying to screw over the seller, but fair is fair. And if the seller is bringing a business with a lot of problems that they didn't tell you about in the early times, which we all know as buyers doesn't happen. It's not like most sellers don't come to you and tell you about all the problems their business has. They just tend not to. Some do, most don't. So when you find these problems that obviously weren't listed by the broker or weren't shared by the seller, then you have to use it as leverage, renegotiate, and in some cases just walk away. I'll tell you one last thing before we end the video. I truly believe this, and those of you who have experience buying small to mid-sized businesses will, I'm sure, agree with me. There are some small to mid-sized businesses that are worth less than zero. I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm not exaggerating. They are literally worth less than zero. That's a fact. I promise you it's a fact. Because think about it like this. Would you pay anything to acquire a business that's going to lose you money each year? Of course not. Why would you pay for something that's going to lose you money and cost you time? Of course you wouldn't. And yet, obviously, we understand that some businesses lose money. It's not like every business out there over the world, not like every business makes money, obviously. So quite literally, some businesses have a negative value. Some businesses are worth less than zero. The seller should be paying you to acquire the business. So think about that and be mindful of that and understand that there are some deals that you just want to walk away from and there is no price that you would do that. That's also the case as well. This isn't just a Donald Trump art of the takeaway close, right? This isn't just an art of the deal, takeaway close we're talking about. I mean, yes, there is a tactic for getting something that you want at better terms, and we're talking about that, but we're also talking about the reality, which is some deals just aren't worth it, irrespective of the price, and that you should run away from them and never look back.